Hi there, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Delivered Podcast. We are so glad that you are joining us again this week. And on this week's episode, I have my first ever second time guest, Sarah. It is actually our 1 year anniversary of our first interview, so that's exciting. Sarah comes to us from Canada. She is a well versed postpartum doula. And on this week's episode, we're going deep with it. It's going to be a hearty, probably tough episode, but in childbirth, there are a lot of things we talk about. We talk about creating a new life. We talk about creating a new persona within ourselves, but we don't ever address the grief that can come with it. So I want to welcome Sarah, and we can just dive right in.
Thank you so much. And what an honor to be your first second time guest. And actually, the time lapsed 1 year. I have not been on another podcast. So this is my second podcast interview ever. So here we are.
That's awesome. I love that for me. I mean, you'll get there. I know you will. You're amazing.
Yes, I have had a couple other offers and they've ended up falling through, but this is a really fun practice zone for me. So thank you. I'm grateful.
Yes, of course. So I know we talked a little pre-recording just about where we are with life. Obviously, crazy to think it's been a year, but go ahead, give the audience how you want to approach this episode, what we're going to be focusing on.
Sure. So the title of the episode, what did we call it?
Reclaiming yourself.
Reclaiming yourself. So yeah, the hidden journey in motherhood is kind of what we talked about. So yeah, first of all, I will just give a little where I'm at right now. Where is Sarah right now? Which is always a good place to think, where am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? So Sarah right now, I'm 40 years old. This is December 14th, 2024 that we're recording it. I'm 40 years old. I just moved 4 months ago, just outside of Toronto, Canada, to a smaller town called Hamilton, Ontario. I have my 3 sons, so they are ages 10, 8, and 6. So yeah, I'm hitting that decade mark where my oldest is now 10 years old and my youngest is just on the cusp of being 7. So those early 0 to 6 years are like really over now. So I'm heading into midlife. I'm heading out of early childhood mothering with my children. And then on the topic of, grief and loss and going through these cycles and rediscovering myself, I'm totally in that too. Over this past year that we've talked, I've taken huge turns in my business and my postpartum work. I have been navigating, I guess you can call it like a crisis or a huge learning growth curve within my marriage. And so I am right up here with you, everyone who's listening. I don't have this figured out, but here I am showing up and I'm asking myself and I'm asking us all the question, what is our capacity to face and be with grief, with life and death every single day? That's where I'm dropping in from. So that's who I am. And one more thing I wanted to add was my postpartum work, and I'll read a little thing that I wrote about it, was I've been a postpartum doula working with postpartum families in their homes for the past 5 years. And what happened over the past year since we've talked was my business emerged into a new stage, which was all of a sudden I realized, okay, these families that I've been working with, they're still connected to me. I've been in their home in a really vulnerable time. And now I'm understanding a new level, a new need that these women are having. And that's when I started to create these retreats. So I've hosted now 2 mini day retreats, 1 overnight weekend retreat. And now that I'm in my new home, settled into my home, I've made this beautiful, cozy, peaceful nest. And now I host monthly women's gatherings. So my work has kind of evolved. And then alongside with that, I'm still doing my in-home postpartum work, and I'm bumping up my postpartum chef and meal delivery service. But it's actually really interesting that I haven't had as many inquiries for the postpartum doula work. So it's interesting that it's just naturally shifting and evolving into this new kind of, that I call them like secretly like my grievers gatherings, although I call them women's retreats to the public. But I'm finding what's happening is the people that are being drawn and wanting to show up for themselves in a new way are grieving, quote unquote, not always how we think of grief, but they're grieving something about themselves. They're wanting to show up for themselves in a new way. They're wanting to reclaim or rediscover themselves in a new way. And what I'm doing with my work and for myself and in my own life is kind of creating these actual rooms and places and spaces where we can all look around and say, hey, here we are doing this work. So, all right, I'm going to read a little piece that I wrote on it to kind of make it clear what I'm talking about, and we can go from there. I realized over the past 5 years of being with postpartum families that I'm actually doing grief work. Mothers are faced with the loss of their previous self. Postpartum work is grief work. Motherhood is filled with joy and new life, profound loss and transformation. During the postpartum phase, you're not just welcoming a baby, you're also grieving parts of yourself. Your independence, your old identity, your body as you knew it. This grief often goes unspoken, but it's real and it deserves time and space. In the work I do, my focus is on creating that with you. Together, we take time. We show up in the room, making space. I'm here to witness you, to be with you, to see you, to hear you, to give permission to feel all of it. Postpartum isn't just about healing physically. It's about healing emotionally and spiritually too. It's about acknowledging what you've lost while navigating your new world and new self. I believe that through rest, connection, and compassionate presence, we can process this transition together. We don't rush the process, we let it unfold. You are allowed to mourn the parts of yourself that have changed. Feel, surrender, release. You are allowed to rise stronger and more whole on the other side. Take your time. This too shall pass. Take it easy. Keep going. One moment at a time.
Did you tear up when you wrote that? Because I'm not going to lie, you got me like 3 times.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I don't know what to call it, but like when I come out with these pieces of writing, I say that it's not really me speaking. It's like God, or I'm not trying to say I'm like some spiritual guru. It's not about that. But I find sometimes when I come out with these things, they do make people cry. And sometimes when I speak messages too, I'm crying as I'm saying them, but it's not like, wow, I'm crying. But it's one of those moments where it's like, I know that there's something profound coming up. And this is not really me that's coming up with this really amazing message, but it's like, I'm willing to open up my heart and just kind of speak it out. And yeah, funny enough, sometimes I actually cry while saying it, but it often pierces people. So like, that's not the first time I've heard that, but I will say it's like, it's not really me. It's just a message that's coming through that people need to hear, and I'm willing to give it.
I mean, as you were reading that, I was just like picturing myself like getting ready to give birth, or like the moment I brought her home. And imagine someone giving a card. Like if that was a card, maybe you should make it a card or something. I'm serious, because like imagine someone giving that to you as a new mom.
Like a permission slip. It's a permission slip. Yeah.
Exactly. Like this might be how you feel. And if you do, that's okay. Because it's like the way that you and I talked about, pre-recording. It's the dueling emotions, the joy of becoming a new mom, but also the stress, anxiety, grief. And people and society wants you to think, oh, it's joy. It's all happy. There's a newborn. And don't get me wrong. I was absolutely grateful and happy and all of those things. And then later on, it kind of hit me that I was absolutely falling apart, had no idea what was going on. And we think, oh, you should only feel joy. You should only feel happiness. There's no place for grief here. And I think when you really look at it and hearing you read those words, that is just, it's so powerful. And it's the reason why I started this podcast. It's not talked about enough. Because that's what it is. I mean, we think in our minds, grief is when someone dies. That's so false.
I like this definition that it says grief is conflicting emotions that occur after a great change. So there you go. That's the whole thing you just said. Like, we're joyful, we're upset, and that's okay. We just need to reframe the fact that grief only happens after death. Grief should be hidden and quickly resolved, and we're going to move forward and we're going to get over it. Sorry, you spent time in the hospital after your daughter. Shouldn't you stop talking about that story now? Aren't you done grieving? It's like, I'm sorry, but if we're going to be honest, the stories and the things that happen in our lives are going to resurface throughout our entire life. So I think it's just normalizing the fact that grief is kind of never over, and it's not something to fix or to dismiss. It's actually something to lean into. You can choose to look away and to pretend that that didn't happen, or you can choose to look it in the face and say, that was a really scary thing that happened to me. That really hurt me. That was painful. That was scary. And then it's funny because I hear a lot of people saying, well, I don't want to look at whatever, my grief or my sadness and my pain, especially even in birth. Let's say birth traumas. A lot of people go through them. I don't want to look there because if I start crying, I don't think I'm going to stop. I've heard a lot of people say that. And actually, the key is to turn towards your pain with a compassionate witness, such as someone like myself, a therapist, a friend, a trusted, safe person. Or sometimes you do it by yourself. Sometimes the darkest moments we're just by ourselves. But guess what? You don't die from a broken heart of crying over a sad situation. You actually get up the next morning and you live. And so that's kind of a myth too, where people think that if we really look in the dark parts, that we're just going to spiral and we're never going to get up out of bed. And that's just not true, because there are ways to heal. And we'll get into those too. But anyway, I think I already got off topic. But that's just kind of a little bit of myth busting to get us going where.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah.
What would you say if you had to think about either in your own life, your own experience? I know you've had a hell of a year, but in your own experience or just in the families that you've seen, are there any practical, I don't know, strategy, technique, anything like that you're helping yourself to just embrace the grief and, like you said, not avoid it?
Yes, definitely. So something that I haven't actually done this, but I've heard of it and it sounds amazing, but it's called a grief jar, or I guess you could call it like a, sadness jar or whatever you want to call it. So each time something happens in that month, you just write it on a little piece of paper and you put it into the jar. And then at the end of the month, you give yourself a little moment of time to go through and open up and read each one of those. And some people like to burn them, or some people like to rip them up and crumple them. But it's just allowing yourself to kind of take the time to remember and then to release those things. People like to do it. You have a peer support group. So that's really what I'm doing for myself right now. So my biggest peer supports are my sisters. So it's like every single day we're checking in on Marco Polo. We're like, this is what's going on in my life right now. So it's like I'm airing out my grievances like on the daily at this point in time. That's how crazy my life is. But then again, there's also therapists. There's other support groups that you can find online. There's like what I'm creating in my community, in my neighborhood, is these monthly gatherings where we're gathering together as women and we're actually just sharing our stories. And they're not always massive grievances, but it's just letting those stories hit the airwaves and allowing other people to hear them and kind of like reverberate around, and being the flesh with people is, I would say that's one of the keys to dealing with you feeling more normal, because you're hearing other people and what they're going through, and you're realizing at the end of the day, okay, I'm not alone. That whole thing of you're not alone. Well, you can still feel pretty alone if you do all these practices just by yourself, which they're still fine to do. But and some people like to do those by themselves. Maybe you have a little practice that you do with yourself every morning. I don't know. It's you light a candle and you journal, or you whatever it is. I'm making up the things that I do, but for some people that might look very different. Maybe they need something solitary where they say, make a commitment to themselves. Okay, every single day I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to like move out whatever is bothering me. So I think it's bringing to the attention and just being honest with yourself about these things instead of running away from them. It's allowing it to exist without judgment. I'm going to name it. This is what I'm upset about. Let's say for a new mom, for example, I'm really upset that I used to be able to go snowboarding every winter, and now I have a baby and I'm breastfeeding and I can't snowboard this season. Or I don't know, that's just one example, but it's kind of naming it and allowing it. And so those are the practical things that you could do to start integrating it into your life.
I love that. It's like when you said, when you're with other people and you start talking about it, I
Hmm.
think you realize how many other moms and women feel exactly what we feel, but until someone verbalizes it, you would never know.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And it might not be completely aligned with exactly what you're going through, but to some extent, I feel like if I'm talking about something on the show and then, or I'm talking to somebody at work, someone else might be like, oh, I didn't know that, you blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, of
Hmm.
course. Oh, well, you never mentioned it. And I
Right.
just think when you're in that group setting, it's so refreshing to just remember that, like, we were not created to be alone. Humans were
Hmm.
not, I mean, regardless of what, believe biblically, spiritually, but it's like, we are made for connection. So
Hmm.
I think when you're in that setting, and like you said, some people prefer to be alone the harder moments.
Hmm.
Absolutely respect that too. But I think when you're in that setting, it's just kind of reinforcing, oh, this is the community that I can feel support in recognizing the things that I went through because I'm not alone in experiencing that.
Hmm. And something else that I've found really, really impactful with peer support, even if it's virtually on an online meeting or in, the retreats and the home gatherings that I've been
Hmm.
doing, is that, especially when you get the different age groups
Hmm.
or different people along the pathway, you see someone speaking from a perspective of like 5 years past where I'm at, right? So that gives
Hmm.
me so much information and wisdom and knowledge, which, like you were saying, because we don't normally have those spaces, I wouldn't normally hear someone that's talking about, okay, in 5 years from now, I can expect this and this and this. For example, in the recovery process that I'm in right now with my marriage, I'm going to a recovery support group and I'm hearing the other women that are farther along in the pathway. And I'm like, oh, so that's how long it takes. Because sometimes when we're washed over with this wave of new motherhood, it's like, when am I going to feel normal again? But if someone got to talk to you 5 years out and you've been through the whole hospital system, you've done your therapy, you've done your this or that, how comforting would that be to know, okay, I still have to do my hard work to get where Athena's at, but I know that someone else has done it. There's a knowing, and I see a person right there that's talking. They've already done the hard work, and that gives me just the hope. You know what I'm saying? It just helps me to know, okay, I can do it because I just saw that someone else can do it. So I think that's a really important part of sharing the stories. And that doesn't only come with age, but it just comes with allowing yourself to get into spaces with other people. Otherwise, you just stay in the echo box of your own head and
Hmm.
doesn't really do anything. But for the people that do love just solo expression and getting things out, I feel like music can be really therapeutic, blasting some music and just dancing. But yeah, those are just some other, like when you heard say, what are some practical strategies? I find that those are really, really good go-tos as well.
I love that. Do you ever journal?
I do. And I know that I have a lot in there, but like I am scared to write right now because it's like the flood that's going to pour out of me is going to be crazy. And it's like, I feel I have like a whole memoir in here and I'm just not prepared. So until I write my memoir, just keep watching my live version. But I know that I'm going to write. I know that I have a gift with writing, and I'm just actually scared to see what's going to come out. Honestly, I'm not ready to talk about that
No.
denial piece. It's like my denial of my
Hmm.
reality is actually protecting me right now, and I'm okay with that. And
Yeah.
actually, that's part of how to navigate through the different stages of grief. I'll read them out here. So there's denial, anger, bargaining, sadness, and acceptance. And these aren't linear, right? So if I have denial right now that I'm like, I'm not going to write about my experience. I can't. I'm just going to be
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm going to thank myself that I know right now that that's cushioning my experience. And when I get to that stage, I'm not ready to accept some certain truths about what I've experienced, throughout my
Hmm.
motherhood journey or throughout my life journey. So I'm just going to allow those different phases and stages of grief to come to me when they come to me. And, you know,
Hmm.
I'll deal with them when they get there. Motherhood, right? So look for small ways to accept and embrace your new reality as a new mom. I would say that sometimes you're bargaining, you're trying to regain control, and your life is out of control when you have a newborn and when you have a child or a toddler and beyond. But
Hmm.
it's kind of like allowing those stages to come. When you are sad, let yourself be sad and cry, and it doesn't matter. Let yourself rest when you need to rest, which I know these things all sound really easy to say, but if you can actually allow these phases to hit you, I guess I'm saying the same thing again and again, but
No, it makes sense though. I mean, if you think about new motherhood, I feel like 75% of it is bargaining. I would always just be like, okay, if I do this, then I'll do this. Or if I try this, then I won't feel like this. Or, just even
or to get the sleep schedules or something, or
yes,
feed them. Yeah.
Yes. If she gets a good sleep schedule, we can go for a walk. And I think that obviously is also linear with your own personal healing throughout your motherhood journey, because I think once you become a mom, I mean, it's like that meme that you see that says, if you're worried about being a good mom, that's the sign that you already are one.
Yeah, you already are one. Yeah.
Right. And so it's the thing of, if that's where you are at your baseline, then obviously you're trying your best. However, I think when this whole brand new version of yourself has begun, like your mom era, let's call it that, why not?
Yeah.
You're accepting and bargaining within everything with yourself, because you don't know how you're going to react, how things are going to go. I was just having this conversation with a friend today of when we went to a meeting at the hospital. We did the tour. They canceled all the prepartum classes because of COVID. And so we just did like a quick tour and a little seminar. And I remember they mentioned postpartum depression. And on the way home, I said to Chris, we were talking about a couple other things. And I said, I don't think I would ever get postpartum depression. And he was like, why? Like, why do you say that? And I said, I'm just so happy. I'm happy to have a baby. I have like a healthy pregnancy, all the things. Like I said, I just don't ever see that happening. And it never hit me that I said that until probably a year ago when I came off my meds. And I remember being like, remember when I said that? And that's just, to me, the most proof in my own life that until you're living in a moment at that time, you have no idea how you're going to handle it, how you're going to react to it, how it's going to affect you, how it might change you. So I just think in motherhood, it's embracing the fact of this whole new life of yourself, your new era, right? And figuring out how you can be successful at it in a reasonable way while also honoring everything that you've just been through.
Yeah. And I think that it just happens so rapidly is what I noticed. So it's a loss of independence. It's a loss of your old identities. It's a loss of expectations that you had for your life. Or even once you've become a mother for the first time, maybe you wanted more children. Maybe you only ever had one child, right? Maybe you had career ideas. So it's such a big life shift in such a short time, where it's like, even if you had prepared about postpartum depression, it doesn't matter, because that identity it doesn't get ripped from you, but like, it's just one day you didn't have a child, one day you did. So you can do all the prep in the world, but like, that's why I want to treat this whole phase, which is like, we're talking about decades at this point. This whole, at least 5 to 10 years after you become a mother, is like this fragile era. Like, how much time do we give a child to turn into an adolescence? That's a bumpy time. And now that we're talking about this, pre-child you to motherhood era you, well, that's such a fragile time that needs much more attention and safe, loving, compassionate care than we're giving it. We're making short work of something that's like, wow, somebody just went through a massive, huge change, and they're never going to look and feel the same way again. A lot of people that I know deal with massive bodily changes that affect them for the rest of their lives. Autoimmune disorders, they wake up. It's a teacher sometimes. Like, our children wake us up to things that are actually happening inside. And it's this very tender threshold moment that I'm starting to understand a lot deeper, even though I'm very new to this work. But it's like, that's the biggest thing that I'm noticing, is like, let's slow it down here and let's take time here, which is, leads me into all of the practices that are kind of emerging throughout my business, where I'll share a little bit about a ceremony that I learned about, which is called closing of the bones ceremony. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I was able to perform one and kind of start to learn the skill. And then I was able to have one done to me. And the origins are from all around the world, but you take these rebozos, and they're like these big cloths, and you basically have the postpartum mother or any woman at different life stages, and you kind of wrap them up at like 7 different points all along the body. And so it's this kind of holding and squeezing and really gentle, safe hands of care way of bringing a new mother back into her body after this crazy experience that she's had. And it's actually a very, very profound experience. Even just a practice like that, where it's like, why aren't these things more normal? Or like, why is it still so taboo that someone would even know what a postpartum doula was? Or, you know, some of these, even these retreats that I'm hosting, people are like, well, what's a woman's retreat? And basically it's just people showing up for themselves. I make really good food because I'm a chef. I'm giving you a chance to be honest with yourself. I'm giving you a chance to just chill and rest and journal or paint or whatever you want to do for a day, and to be connected with other women. And so, so these things sound like they would be simple and easy, but when you actually do them, that's what I'm wanting. I'm just wanting to slow down the time that people actually, you can arrive at a retreat that I'm offering, which, funny enough, a lot of people can't even make it there because of how crazy life is, which I get it too. But that's what I'm just noticing. I just think we have to take the time. We can't create more time. We have to take this time for ourselves. Like, this is what the world needs now. We don't need more spinning and burnout. And if ever a time, it's now. Like, we need to get in the room with each other face to face. And I have really lived and breathed the beauty of doing that over this past year. And it's really transformed me. And I honestly think that it's funny because for 5 years, I went into families' homes and I was their caretaker and I was a professional and everything. And then I started doing these retreats and learning about group work and showing up in a different way for women and creating these beautiful spaces of rest. And like at the end of the day, it's funny because I'm actually doing those for myself. This is what I need. I need help. So I'm doing what I want to be doing. I'm helping myself. I'm a peer as well. Yes, I have my trainings and I have the 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 hours of like the compassionate presence and all those things that make me a wonderful doula and mentor and friend and whatever. But I, at the end of the day, am showing up for something that I need for myself. I'm actually creating something that I need for myself. And for whoever comes and joins me, I'm like, let's go, let's have some fun. But that's actually a realization that I had was I was doing all of this for other people, but I need this help for myself. I need this care for myself. And if I want to not burn out in this work, I better be taking these practices. I better be drinking the bone broth that I'm serving to my clients. I better be doing that too, So I'm really taking my own medicine at this point in time. And I'm like, all the things that I'm prescribing, I am doing it too. So
I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're like living proof or like a living example of what it looks like to acknowledge where you are and know that you have some work to do to get through that, but also knowing that you have the skills to help other people get through it, but inadvertently it'll help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, because people say to me like, oh, you're my North Star, you're an angel, and all these things and all these titles. And I don't like to be called that because I'm like, I'm just a regular person.
You're not.
I need help. But the difference between me and anyone else is that I am living a radically honest life and I'm showing up for myself. And I'm asking myself the question that I think I already asked in this already today, which is what I would love for you to all ask yourselves is, what do you want? And that's the whole reclaiming. Eventually, once you wake up from the first 6 years of sleeplessness and tiredness, and you're finally back to whatever, if you get to go back to a career or not, or whatever, it's like, these are the questions that we have to start asking ourselves as women, because motherhood is only a part of us. And we need to wake up to what do we want? And it's not going to happen within one day. So this is me. I'm only at the start of my 40 to 50. So watch out, world, what I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing some crazy stuff and living some amazing dreams, but I started to ask myself the question, what do I want? And when my youngest son was still breastfeeding, I was like, I need to get the hell out of this house with these 3 children. I'm going to go crazy. So I became doula, which was one step. It was basically just the same thing, but in someone else's home, and I was getting paid. But I had to ask myself that question, and I had to continually ask that question, what do you want? And go off and do it. It's not going to look like what I'm doing, but it is going to take you facing yourself and inquiring. And like everyone has something beautiful that they're going to be offering. And I think it is scary. It is scary to dream bigger. And sometimes it's easier just to get lulled to sleep within motherhood and just to let all those dreams die. And it's scary to step into some sort of leadership or mentorship roles. But as soon as you're a couple days past another mom, you have something to offer her. So why aren't we sharing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I also think you have to give yourself more credit. I
I
mean,
do, probably.
the passion radiates from you. I can feel it through my ears just listening to you talk. Every time I see you post on Instagram, I can tell it is so heartfelt and thoughtful. And you're lucky I don't live in Canada because I'd be at every single meeting, retreat. I'd be
There you
like a
go.
groupie. Yeah.
That's great.
So, I mean, yes, you are a doula. There are postpartum doulas, of course, sure. But do they have your passion and your drive and your desire, exactly like how you said, to keep growing and changing and finding the best ways for yourself as a person first and as a mom? I mean, Sarah, that makes you exceptional. That doesn't make you just like everybody else.
Yeah. And I realize that and I accept it. But I think my bigger message is what I'm trying to convey is that you and everyone else is and can do this too. There's nothing
Sure.
special about Sarah. Yes, I understand that I'm a bit of a facilitator in the fact that I have all of these amazing skills of hosting and facilitating. And actually, this is the one time in my life where I'm happy that I'm pretty much uneducated because I I did all the work of like I grew up in a home where my mom made fresh bread every day. I did all the hard work of like I ground it out with 3 children at home and then scraped my way to becoming a doula. And now I'm a postpartum chef now and a retreat host and I'm living my best life. Like I put a sauna in my backyard. I made myself the spa dream world that I wanted. Whatever it is, I've evolved. Not to say that, okay, I've arrived, but I've created the world that I've wanted. And that's based on the back of just hard work, school of life, grit. I do have a chef training certificate, but I sometimes think it's interesting that, yeah, we go to higher education and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that that's what I have to offer too, is I have the real life lived experience. So when I'm talking to you about loss, I've really faced those losses and I've done that work. And yeah, I've had the time and the luxury to do it too, I guess is the biggest thing that I'm saying is I've had the luxury that I got to learn all of these skills firsthand the hard way. And I feel like I'm just starting to get my payback now, it feels like, because all of a sudden people are looking to me to be like, how do I feel? How do I get in tune with myself again? And I'm here to basically just listen to you and witness you. And my sister and I, who helps me a lot with my work, she's my backbone right hand woman. We're this team that's joined forces and we call ourselves stones. We are these like griever stone sisters that we sit and we just literally by our presence at this point in time, because we've both been through like so much hell in our lives and lived experience that, and we've been honest about it and we've faced it. Now we can invite other people and we're like, yeah, we see you. We're with you. We are you, actually. We believe you. And when people, we just draw the people that are ready to come and to be honest and to face themselves and to start the hard work of rediscovering yourself after you've been through a lot of whatever it is, trauma, abuse, whatever. We can all say what we've been through, but at the end of the day, we need each other to be able to scrape our way out of these places. And we are those people. We are sitting and watching people's lives unfold, and we're not trying to fix you. It's funny because, we feel like the work that we offer is what therapists tell you that you should go do. They're like, oh, make sure you rest and make sure you do some somatic practices and make sure you eat well. And it's like, that's what our gatherings are. That's why we find it really funny because we're like, we love all the therapists out there that are doing all their amazing work, but we're the lowly, like, background workers that are the ones offering these places. You know what I mean? So that's where our passion lies. And in this world at this time in 2024, yeah, we are actually the people that are rising. Funny enough, we're the people that are becoming desirable to be around. And people are like, how do you two pull this off? And we're just like, can't match our freak. We're crazy girls out here. Like, the amount of work and passion that we put into it, it's so fun for us and we love it. But like, people don't do this, which is, I think, what you're seeing in me, is that who cares this much? But the reason that I can care so much is because I've cared for me right here. And that overflow, and that's the outpouring that you're seeing. And I believe that everyone can create this for themselves, even if it's not creating a place and a space to go to. Even internally, you can create this, whatever you want to call it,
a positive healing environment.
Yeah,
pretty much.
you can
like
do
a
this for
safe
yourself.
space.
Yeah, you can create a private, safe space for yourself, and that starts with step one of whatever it is that you want to do. It's just showing up for yourself.
What would you say about, women like yourself? You have 6, 8, and 10, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say for those women? What are, I don't know, any suggestions that you have just on ways that they can work on reclaiming themselves? I know we kind of talked about tapping into what you enjoyed prior, reaching out for support if there's a type of group that they feel. Other than things like that, what would you recommend to those type of women who are getting out of that children phase and working into adolescence and adulthood?
Yeah, I think we did cover a few, but I guess it's just, again, that gentle reminder and that permission slip of, first of all, you're allowed to rediscover yourself at any stage, by the way. Even if you're 50, 60, I don't care. I don't know. I'm obviously not a pro at that point. I'm premenopausal at this point, so I can't really speak past my own experience. But
sure,
I think creating the time to honor your wants and needs would be step one. That first question of, what do you want? So maybe in someone that's going to start to express and engaging in, an art form or journaling or writing or projects or creating the community, like things that I'm doing, create that for yourself. Let's say you love figure skating or what, I don't know. Starting to ask yourself, what can I create? What can I create? Because within every woman, even if you're a mother or not, everyone who holds a womb has a story and has that creative force that can create a life. So if you can create a life, you can create something else. You can create something artistic, something beautiful, an offering, something that you can put out into the world. So I think it's just acknowledging that would be where I would say to start. And then that question of, what do you want? And I hesitate to offer like specifics because it sounds very blah, blah at this point. Develop self-care, blah, blah, blah. But I think that's just, people need to ask themselves, what do you want?
Yeah. Well, and I agree. And I think it's like, what action steps are you going to take to get there?
Right. And you just need to take the first step.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think it's so easy to say, oh, of course I want like this. But it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? And I think that's the most beautiful thing about the girl that I met a year ago and the girl that's in front of me today. You've obviously lived a lot of life in the last year.
Right.
But I think the fact that you've done something about it and you've turned it into these amazing retreats and monthly gatherings, I mean, what's better than that, really?
No, I don't know. We'll find out when I do something better. But like, at least I did something. Exactly. It's like, what did I do about it? I did something. I created something that I needed, that I wanted, that I saw a need for. And so, that's the biggest thing is, I would say to someone like, like, what are you going to do about it? What are things that you don't like in the world? What's something you don't like about yourself? And then what are you going to do about it? Because we never stop growing and evolving until the day that we die. So you can't give up. You can't give up.
100%. And it's the thing of, I think we're so quick to say, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so tired. I'm so busy. I don't, that doesn't exist. I don't know what I'll do, blah, blah, da, 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 da. And I think you clearly don't make excuses. You got things done. You've done this great thing. And I think that's so empowering for yourself, but also it's like how you said, someone can look at you and say, she's lived it, she's done it. I can put in the hard work and I can reclaim X or, improve Y. And I just think that shows exactly like you said, the growth and maturity of just life. Who wants to be stagnant, right?
We need women to rise up and do this. This is actually what we all need the most. I need to look out and see that old lady that I see taking a walk every single day. I need to see that. The same way that someone needs to see that I'm over here making bone broth in my kitchen. So don't give up on what little things that you're doing, and do them for yourself. Who cares about other people? Do it for you. I go out to my rose bush in my backyard every day and sniff my rose bush. And I don't do that for anyone else but me. It's a full moon. I'm looking out at the moon. And the moon, it's a little song that I sing to my kids. I see the moon and the moon sees me. God bless the moon and God bless me.
That's cute. I love that.
It's just like, that's for me. This is just for me at the end of the day. But you're welcome for any goodness that you got. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, that's what I mean about reclaiming is, I think as women, we've done a lot and we've given a lot. And it's things have been taken, I guess you want to say. But yeah, it's just time to reclaim some of that goodness back into your life and take little pieces of goodness into your life every day. And one day you're going to have this beautiful golden castle that you've built. So just start today. Yeah.
That's power. That's so good. So I normally wrap up my favorite question because you hear
I don't remember.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you another one. So normally my favorite question is, what is one word that you would use to describe your work? But I know that I asked you that last year, but I want to ask you, what is your goal for the next year? Because now that you're my first guest to do 2 interviews, next year you're going to be my first guest to do 3 interviews, and we're just going to have anniversaries until
we're going to see. This is going to become like Sarah's life check-in.
No, I mean, I think it's great. I guess I just want to know, as far as your postpartum work and the gatherings, what do you want to happen in the next year? For yourself, for your clients? How do you see that evolving?
Yeah, I think it's really basic. I want to just keep doing what I'm doing. I want to keep doing what I'm doing, and I want to become a more free version of myself, because I think for so long I listened to other people's narratives about me, and I stayed really small and I didn't speak. I wouldn't have even been able to do a podcast like this or write that little blurb. So I think it's going to be me getting a lot stronger and bolder personally with my own voice through my writing and through avenues like this or whatever opportunities come up. But in the meantime, I'll be over here, keep doing what I'm doing. My little monthly gatherings, showing up every day, making my kids lunches. I still have a lot of work to do with my own children. So I truly believe that I need to be a great retreat host and a mentor and all these wonderful things that everyone wants to be. I need to be faithfully showing up every single day in my own life for myself and for my children. And for me, those are really the basic tasks of like the things that ground me and keep me human are me making the meals every day, me going out into my garden every day, me going for a walk and going to smell my roses. And it sounds small, but those are actually really big things. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going.
That's great. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm really grateful. I know that the listeners will be grateful just that you got so personal and so real. And that's really the point of this podcast. It's that thing of, well, what are you going to do about it? And I remember I used to say to Chris, I have to do something with this, like this for nothing. Like this wasn't just for Athena. And
look at you. Now you're giving me a platform for me to say my small little voice. This is huge for me. I feel like I'm a late bloomer, but here I am. I didn't give up. I'm at 40 years old, just recording my second podcast and using my little voice, but it's going to get better and better. And same for you. You inspire me. You're doing what you should be doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, it's great. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll meet again, I guess, in 1 year.
I know. You're the best. I'll see you back here 1 year from now.
Perfect. I look forward to it.
It'll be fun. Well, I really do appreciate you, Sarah. You know that. And this has just been awesome. So thank you again.
Thank you. It's my honor.
Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week.